Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Great Northern Instore's webinar on pet trends at retail. I'm Dan Sabinosh, Director of Shopper Marketing, and very pleased that you could spend some time with us today to learn about the latest and greatest of what's going on in the pet categories. I'll start with a couple of housekeeping notes as people log in. First, this webinar will be about 45 minutes or so, just to set those expectations. On the GoToWebinar tool, please, if you have any questions that come up along the way, don't hesitate to use the questions section on the GoToWebinar dashboard. Also, the content will be made available following the webinar. You'll get an email thanking you for attending. So if you just respond to that, it'll come right to me with any needs that you may have. The entire deck or other images or other thoughts about the webinar would be much appreciated. So the content will be available. Okay, as we get into this, I always love to start with Great Northern Instore's mission of helping our customers win by doing what others can't or won't. It's obviously been a crazy time over the past 18 months with a lot of tumultuous changes at retail, and happy to bring some of the latest trends of what we're seeing in this dynamic category. We'll touch on a brief introduction, but then get into some of the key trends that are in the pet industry and how we see them playing out at the physical retail store. That includes pet humanization, seasons, and health, three major trends. But then we'll also touch on pet shopping and some of the solutions that are offered at retail to really help shoppers and navigate them through what is a very diverse range of products. Talking about diverse range of products, this is from the American Pet Products Association State of the Industry report, touching on how 2020 was a year where the industry in the US crossed $100 billion of sales with very strong growth of 6.7%. And they broke it into four different categories: pet and food treats with strong growth, supplies, medications being, again, very strong growth of 15%, vet care and products associated with vet care up 7%, and then other services actually down. And that includes grooming and boarding, which logically actually declined because of the pandemic, lockdowns, people not traveling, people caring for their pets more at home. You'll see a few statistics on that. But overall, very robust growth, as we all know, with a lot of people during the pandemic adopting pets. And the American Pet Products Association sees this growth continuing into 2021, estimating that sales will nearly hit $110 billion, with strong growth across all the product categories, but particularly seeing other services bouncing back as people have started to get back into a bit more of their normal lives and getting out and about from the lockdowns that we had in 2020. A few things which kind of are just amazing to me. Those in the pet industry maybe not as amazing to you, but just looking at the sheer scale of the industry, where 7 in 10 US households purchased pet food or treats in the past year, according to Supermarket News, pulling from an IRI all outlet panel. 70% of pet owners spent more time with their pets during the lockdown. Pretty straightforward. If you're home more, you're with your pet more. And 85% of pet owners said they spent the same or more on their pet during the pandemic. Again, I don't think facts and figures that are all that surprising, but kind of neat to see it all come together in terms of the driving aspect of a robust category growing last year and this year and into the foreseeable future due to some of these macro trends. Pet humanization, I'll start off with that, where 40% of dog owners and 25% of cat owners have said that they have bought clothing for their pet. Actually, in 2020, I apologize, I kind of sped up the year already here, but a lot of people buying clothing for their pets. And what do we see at the store surrounding this? First, interesting, this end cap, really highlighting pet armor, flea and tick products. But I love the bold statement at the very bottom, is trusted by 1 million pet parents. We're not talking about pet owners, we're talking about pet parents making that transition into a cherished member of the family. I mean, we see things like this hydration station, which at a PetSmart end cap, which to me, again, really touches on the aspect of, you would see this in grocery stores highlighting human hydration, but now, no doubt, adding this to pet stores as well. This whole idea of those solutions that are out there for our pets, making them part of our family. And it's here also I want to touch a little bit of the expansiveness, where this category is obviously at pet stores, both independent pet stores, big box pet stores, like we'll see a lot of images, but also in a host of other chains, as this has become just part of the everyday lifestyle of someone. And some of that has to do with the value propositions. Dollar Channel, in this case Dollar General, carving out a whole dedicated end cap to Caesar and Pedigree products, highlighting that, as well as, again, just highlighting that love them back, part of the family nature in their graphics package on this custom setup end cap for these particular brands. So I guess one of the messages that I have here too is there are merchandising opportunities across channels and in different channels. Obviously, a store like Dollar General won't have the full range of products or brands like some of the other pet stores, but there are definitely opportunities to expand distribution into these high traffic stores, and opportunities for some strong merchandising at them. Another channel, similarly, Club Channel, huge opportunities here. They have a pet section. It is driven off of probably a lot of those standard pallets as you see here. But again, in this section on pet humanization, here they are merchandising those pet beds, making them also a comfortable member of the family. It is part of all of our family. So again, highlighting that. We're going to talk about imagery in a few slides, but again, that highlight of the pet right there on the pallet skirt. The next area I want to touch on is seasons. And this is a trend that we see throughout retail, but really coming to life as well in the pet channel, of having relevance and driving incremental purchases by having seasonally relevant offerings and merchandising that connects with the shopper and drives those incremental purchases. A few fun facts from Spin's Pet Trends of 2020. 50% of dog and cat owners give their pet a Christmas gift or treat. 25% of pet owners celebrate Halloween with a pet present. And more than 50% of dog owners and a third of cat owners celebrate their pets' birthdays. So it is about those moments, those seasons, and driving it. You go into stores today, and in PetSmart, for instance, you see huge merchandising efforts, and these are driven by the store themselves, but to capture those seasonally relevant purchases. We talked about buying clothing up front and humanization. Well, here in the seasons, particularly Halloween, you see all these various cool little Halloween costumes for your pet. More Halloween costumes for your pet with some very intricate merchandising that's just creates quite a stage in their store and creates the whole theme and connects with the shopper. They've went big here. Now, I think the other thing that I really like about this merchandising, and these are mainly the one right there in the center of the image, a temporary activation, but with a variety and host of flexible merchandising vehicles, whether that's the bin on the side, the stack, larger, heavier weight products, whether it's the plastic peg hooks on the back there to merchandise lighter weight costumes, etc. So it's really a cool piece with a variety of merchandising possibilities for, in this case, again, PetSmart. But they've also utilized dress-up kits. And I think this is something we've also touched on with a lot of our clients in multiple categories of utilizing, in this case, some permanent merchandising there that's flexible on wheels. You can see that wicked fun activation there, just a little bit to the left of center. But it's fully dressed up to kind of have that haunted look around it with temporary signage to bring the theme across to their shoppers. A few more images again. I love the flexibility of some of the merchandising or the dress-up kits, and we'll continue to touch on that as key ways to connect with your shoppers in a variety of ways to make your activations much more long-lasting or flexible for your range of products. Target also as a store does the seasons very well and also brings it into their pet category, you know, really again highlighting on these couple of end caps, definitely the Halloween costumes, pulling out with the black backer paper for that Halloween look, as well as some shelves of various treats for your pets. Again, pulling right from the insights talked about earlier about how many pet parents are buying costumes or treats for Halloween. Another shot of it. I love, again, on an everyday basis, Target has these, this is a newer setup with the fetch and meow statements that, again, bring some fun to the area, which I think, again, is really cool to draw people towards the categories. It is fun being a pet owner, a pet parent, and kind of bringing that fun right to the merchandising as well on an everyday basis, as well as seasonally swapping out the signage and promotions to connect. But it doesn't just have to be the stores. Brands themselves can develop various activations. In this case, this small quarter pallet for Temptations treats. Again, calling it out clearly, it's cat treats, simple hutch, but dressed up in the Halloween theme to connect with that promotion at the store. Greenies, the same thing. Following the style guide, connecting holistically with the Halloween theme and to drive that extra incremental purchase. And Halloween is what's out there now, but this is a message that can definitely be relevantly applied throughout the year for the various holidays. You know, coming up right around the corner, and I'll show you already starting to see holiday activations. This is an example at PetSmart with some Disney licensed products. Again, I love the idea of dressing the entire thing. The header card that has a lug on to create some dimensionality up top, highlighting Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, and then the backer paper as well. This is a little bit outside the style guide for the Halloween season, but again, driving some great brand recognition. It still connects very clearly and really looks sharp towards the brand seasonal Halloween activation. But using some small pieces that just help it pop with, like I said, some of the lug-ons and dimensionality. And it doesn't just have to be end caps or in the pet stores. Again, here a half pallet activation at a Meijer store. Again, driving for Halloween. Again, I love this merchandiser having the flexibility with some different trays and bins to house both the boxes and the bags of the variety of products that are merchandised on this seasonal pallet. And you don't miss that it's seasonal with the Halloween messaging right there at the top. And as mentioned already, starting to see Christmas activations coming to life, advent calendars for pets, kind of tying in the seasons, the humanization. Again, we're all about treating our pet family members, even in the holiday seasons, and having all those fun with them as well. They've become our extra kids as such. And again, I think the idea of understanding seasons, what we've been seeing as a trend, particularly in these times where supply chains have been stretched, getting even all the seasons are starting earlier, so shoppers are able to make sure that they have the product that they want. So seeing Advent holiday activations already here at the end of in September is not 100% surprising. Now, moving on from the humanization, definitely winning the seasons. The other major trend is health. Obviously, for humans, we're highly concerned about health, and that definitely translates to our pet family members. 61% of pet owners are willing to pay more for food that targets their pet's dietary needs. And again, over 2/3 of both dog and cat owners have agreed that high quality pet foods are effective in preventative health care for their pets. It helps them be healthier, live healthier, and hopefully be with us longer. And there's no doubt pet stores have devoted specific sections, signage on health and wellness, very clear. It's critical as you have activations, call that out boldly that this is what your product is about. Here are a couple of great little activations for Blue for their kitten and puppy products. I love that these are solution centers. They work together almost as a modular set, but can be wheeled apart if it makes sense for the store to have it in different sections or apart from one another. And they really tell the story very well. You don't miss the bold header card that really stands above the sight lines in the store. They do have the little kitten or little puppy images there, and then a very flexible display to house the various products for your kitten or puppy, as well as an informational panel to really describe features, benefits of the various products on the activation. And, really neat. You got a pink for the kittens, the light blue, powder blue for the puppies. Again, just creating a little bit of differentiation too to make it easier to understand which activation is for which pet. Next is a couple of, I'll say, standard merchandisers at Petco. And again, I want to highlight this. We see retailers doing it, like a Petco, where they'll have a standard permanent merchandiser such as this that is flexible for shelves in this case, but could also have peg hooks and interchangeable signage for the header and large graphic side panels. Really helps call out the product. In this case, again, all about health and wellness for this brand Wellness Core. It talks about, I love, and we're going to touch on this later, this is one of the few activations where new stands out on the side there, but we'll hit that near the end of this webinar. But again, love this activation. And again, this is driven by Petco. We'll see the next activation, same thing, same merchandiser, different products, different signage, again, in a health health product here, again, calling that out boldly. But it doesn't just have to be the retailers, merchandisers that are done this way. We do a lot for various clients the same way that we've set up permanent merchandisers that we can have changeable signage kits. This works tremendously well for some of those seasonal activations or throughout the year. So you're able to swap out the messaging accordingly or touch on key health messages around your promotions throughout the year. And it drifts even into the temporary realms. Here's a temporary activation for pet relief. Again, I love this activation. Bold images on the side. The lug-on the front helps call out the brand. But also they did a nice job with a mix of the bottom shelf for some of the bag products, pegs for others, and that top shelf for smaller products. Rather than putting that all the way on the bottom, creating that activation there so you can quickly see those products right at eye level and easily access them. And a nice mix of merchandising parts to carry their entire product line. Another one, again, health, blue, which is a lot around health. And again, that specific diet for that. They do a great job at the front on that front info panel with kind of the checklist that makes it very simple to see what are the benefits of this product. And again, I love the multi-purpose merchandiser here, the bottom section to stack the heavy bags, and the top section still needs to be well supported for the heavy canned food. And we've shown a lot of big activations so far, but it doesn't just have to be big activations that can call out the benefits of the products. In this case, a Caesar side cap for a grocery store setup, really easy, calls it out, great branding, talks about wholesome bowls, keeps it simple, and they utilize a great gravity-fed structure, so you have that full billboard on this side cap piece. Really nicely done, and you just kind of pull out the product from the bottom and from the bottom of the stack, and it all kind of drops down. Easy to access and easy to shop while simultaneously providing large messaging space. This activation at a Meijer store, again, I really like this from the perspective of utilizing that theme of natural and healthy. And again, think the visual cues, and they were thought through nicely here of really keeping it as a simple display and utilizing the colors of green and natural ingredients all brought into this, and those lovely images of the field there that just helps make the connection of what this product is about. Now, drifting into that shoppability, what do we see in store? And number one is imagery. According to Dogs Monthly, and it is the UK version, but from a survey, 73% of respondents found that an animal in someone's social media profile pic instantly makes them more attractive. Utilizing your pet, utilizing the imagery of pets in your activations is just a huge cue. Again, not rocket science, not a gigantic aha, but be very mindful of that. Sometimes easily forgotten. It's one of those simple insights. We get tied up in a lot of the other features, benefits, etc., or our branding, but make sure it comes back to highlighting the images of the pets as well to be part of that. Helps obviously easily understand whether it's for a cat, whether it's for a dog, the navigation of it, puppy, adult, type of breed, etc. All things that can easily be communicated by that simple image versus a lot of words which shoppers aren't going to read as they're quickly cruising down the aisles trying to fulfill their shopping list. So a couple of images here at a grocery store highlighting in the pet section. More of that here on this quarter pallet. Again, just tying in with the beautiful image of the kitten there, of the cat. I just can't beat that. Just the eyes draw you right in. We know scientifically faces definitely draw attention and lead people right into the activation and captures their eye and if directed appropriately, direct them along and through the activation to your key claims and messages from there. Now, I have a couple of IMS images here, and definitely they're utilizing, again, pet image, kind of in a 50-50 on these header cards with their branding and a couple of key icons around the products themselves. A few things that's tremendous. But I also wanted to highlight the flexibility of these displays as almost a modular set. So you see these here kind of used as individual quarter pallets, shelving units. You can kind of see there's the various die cuts where the shelves can be placed in a variety of spots depending on the product mix and planogramming for these merchandisers. And they have a nice bold side panel for messaging as well. Same vehicles, thinking about this holistic program, and in this case, utilized as a half pallet, and you can see a full half pallet header used across the top, allowing a little bit more flexibility in messaging. In this case, interestingly, kind of knowing that it was going to go in this half pallet run, they didn't actually put messaging on the side panels. Saved some money there. Obviously, that bit of a gamble if a store does end up kind of not necessarily putting in the middle of the run or as things sell down and that end is showing, you're missing that marketing opportunity. But an interesting little tidbit there. And the same activation utilized for IMS cat products. And here you can see on the left, again, some of the flexibility with the shelving to potentially offer, depending on mix, some different setups for the shelving scenarios to kind of capture the smaller bags if that's going to be stocked more on this half pallet. Now, imagery also, and this is a fun one from Purina, obviously highlights maybe not a image of a photography image of a pet, but again, their mascot image here of a pet, which again communicates a lot of the same things, connects with the brand effectively well. On the side, again, kind of a sharp activation, tying it directly into the strips themselves or bacon strips for some of their products that they highlight. So again, really tying that in very well with the imagery on this activation, which obviously doesn't have a lot of space because it's a small side cap, but they're very effective in utilizing the space that they have. Now, we go from imagery and what do we see at the stores to the other end of things, which are claims and education. And we're going to drive and talk about this a bit because, again, it's one thing to draw someone in with the image, which you see here on this frontline pallet at a club store, draws you in with the puppy. But again, right there, and maybe it's how do you call out as quickly as possible, but I love that they're using the #1 claim, the #1 name and flea and tick protection right there on that activation. And they're then touching 5 icons there about the various protections that this product offers with icons, quick eye catching to help. Maybe a little bit trickier to read with the background there, but definitely making that effort to really come across with the claims there. And then also, especially for club, for those of you that are entering into that area, clearly calling out the bonus that's part of the club value, done there on the upper right of that pallet skirt, calling out the bonus pack. And it could even, interesting, just as a touch, and for those of you, and I know we do have a few attendees that come from other categories, it's thinking about the ways that your products can tie in with pets too. So here, vacuum cleaners, a very obvious connection, but really calling that out clearly on their merchandising, on their packaging, that this product can definitely is engineered for homes with pets and dealing with pet hair. So again, it's making that connection on your merchandising and finding those placements for products that may be adjacent or tangential to the category. Definitely provides those opportunities for additional sales growth with connecting with pet owners, or again, potentially getting extra merchandising space, secondary placements in different retail chains that offer incremental sales dollars for you. Also, again, in this case, some of the flea and tick prevention information, talking about education. I love the idea here, and we see this a lot in some of the higher product consideration categories like consumer electronics, creating that grid. Obviously, a lot of different products here on this set, dedicating the space to provide that grid of the different products, the different benefits that they offer, checked off. So as a shopper, you can look at that, quickly reference, and get the right product for your pet. A few other images of fun stuff that our auditors saw out there. This one kind of ties a little bit with the humanization of pets. This is hydration again. These are water additives to make your pet's water all the more appetizing to them. I love the fact that they pulled some of the learnings from the grocery category, grocery channel, for some of these flavor additives that are out there, and have a very similar merchandising vehicle, driving secondary placement, standing out from the aisle. Again, something we would see in regular bottled water aisles for those flavor supplements, applied here into the pet category. So a lot of this is about learning and pulling from other expertise and other experiences in other categories and bringing and applying them to the pet categories. QR codes, again, something that I think we've been seeing a lot of in a variety of categories, particularly as the pandemic came through, to provide touchless ways to access additional content. It's become really popular as people have definitely used QR codes in a host of other applications at restaurants to access menus, etc., through the pandemic, and definitely seeing it come through in shopping. In this case, Petco is doing this directly to have people access their app and connect with all the information and services that are available from their app. PetSmart, definitely also here utilizing what we see in a lot of omni-channel environments, is connecting their signage to go to PetSmart.com for additional options, more toys. So think about that on your activations of connecting with your digital assets with your in-store merchandising vehicles. Now, Kindful is a private label Target brand that's launched, and I did want to highlight this because I love what they were able to do. And obviously it's a Target private label, so they're going to do some awesome stuff to connect with it. But I love how they play both with the end cap in this case, creating off of their logo. Guaranteed it's a little covered with that header card being against the back wall of the end cap rather than being out in front. Some of their end caps in some of their stores, actually that header is pulled forward closer to the front of the shelf, so it's a little bit more apparent, but you see definitely that house-like logo. They created that. It's a different shape than the rest of the end cap headers. You can tell that as you look down the aisle there. So really helping it stand out from the other end caps around it. And they pulled that also into some of their in-aisle treatments. This is a product line that didn't necessarily get a full 8 feet, but got a full 4-foot section, but got about a 2-foot section here in the aisle. But they kind of have a cool little 2-foot header. Again, is in this case right out at front, even with the edge of the shelves, that really connects the shopper. So if you see the end cap, you see this. Helps you wander down the aisle and connect with this brand, and then also nicely using some shelf lip messaging to, again, convey the key benefits of this new launch for Target. Yeah. And then I'm going to end up with a few solution images, because we all know for us, in a variety of categories, again, it's all about providing the holistic solution. But I did want to start with this first. As we think solutions, one of the things that was interesting to me, 1 in 3 pet owners are millennials. And one of the things we know from some of our other millennial work that we had done is nearly 40% of millennials, if they recognize and see that something is new as they are shopping the physical store, they'll stop and really add and consider that product as they're walking by. They're very swayed by the idea of something different to add to their pets, regimen, as if it's a new food, a new toy, something that they can bring and buy for their pet that's something different, and calling it out is critical. But as I mentioned, it's been something I noticed as we did these audits. There was that one image earlier on where it touched on new, but not a lot. And it's a category, this is a category with a lot of innovation. Make sure if you have something new, make sure that it's called out clearly and easy for the shoppers to see. It particularly resonates with millennials who are 30-year shoppers. It resonates with every shopper, but definitely make sure that your new product is clearly called out as new. A few other things in the marketplace from solutions. It is definitely a bit like we saw with the flea and tick section. In this case, Hills, just for their brand, kind of calling out a little bit of helping a shopper find the right food. In this case, a static sign. I like that it's facing forward right at the shopper, easiest to read and help them choose the right bag of Hill's Science Diet for their cat. We're going to see a little bit more about a high-tech way for conveying this information in a few slides. From a merchandising perspective, here is dog training solutions, a permanent merchandiser, flexible rack with a variety of pegged items where the pegs can be moved around to suit the item widths and heights. Just a nice piece that captures a host of products in one place about training solutions, easily shoppable, on wheels, so it can be moved, maybe turned, very easily shopped by pet owners. The other thing we've been seeing with a lot of categories, and this was only one example, PetSmart lighting their beta fish end cap. In this case, really sharp. Instead of being little dark cubbies that are tougher to see the brilliant colors of some of these betas, they lit the end cap, so the fish pop. You see them clearly against the white backgrounds and the bright colors. Lighting in general, obviously it depends on the store. If you require power drops, definitely, very dependent on who you're selling into. But that said, a lot of advancements made in LED lights for temporary displays, particularly to garner attention. They can be battery operated to create impact at shelf. So be mindful of it. It's something we're seeing a lot in many different categories. Definitely in the electronics area, but it's definitely also moving into other categories like food and beverage, particularly to help really pop items and drive impulse, because it's definitely eye-catching when the rest of the store is a lot darker. I pulled these half pallets from Pedigree because, again, from a whole caring and the idea of, I'll say, cause marketing here, they've really called out on this end cap the idea of their brands and their corporate values of supporting dog adoption. I was going to say pet adoption, but in this particular activation, it's about dog adoption. So it is a great messaging statement. We're seeing this again in a lot of different categories and bringing this in. And I love to showcase this sort of activation in this category as well. It is about the values that your company has and communicating them even at retail to your shoppers. So when they're at that moment of choice, they understand the company that they're buying from. And then this one was a super high-tech activation for Purina. This was launched into Meijer stores, a very expensive activation, but it will be there for a while. Video monitor that highlights and captures attention from, with a rolling video. But what is very interesting, at the very top, you can see a little unit up there that has cameras in it, so it knows where and can sense where a shopper is grabbing product. So if someone reaches in and grabs the naturally strong Tidy Cats there, it will play the appropriate video that it connects with that product and get into the details and highlight, hey, you've picked this, and it will then go through and touch on the benefits of that particular, in this case, Purina One chicken and rice formula. Now, the technology is dependent on it being set right, because the cameras are reacting to a location on the end cap planogram, but it is able to be adjusted, per the promotion, and swapped out with different content and different planograms to adapt and meet the most recent promotions and planogramming. So as we approach the 45-minute mark, hit it pretty well. A couple of to summarize pet trends at retail and what we talked about today. First off, the three key major trends that we've seen really come to life at retail recently has been definitely the humanization of pets and really the activations connecting with that trend. Seasonal relevance, huge. Continue to look at those opportunities to drive those incremental purchases and connect your in-store activations with that. And they are fun. So have no doubt, have fun with those activations, bring your brand to life, but definitely it's creating activations that connect with the shopper, command their attention, that are going to win. And then finally, health. Obviously, huge trend with humans, huge trends with pets. Think about then your products and how you merchandise them, understanding that trend and thinking about the ways you're able to communicate that clearly to shoppers and that difference to shoppers as they're in the store. And some of the ways to do that are those next three areas. We talked about imagery. No doubt, images of pets are critical in this category. It is the probably the ground level entry for activations. And really be mindful of that if your product is not in a pet store, because then no doubt that will be highly differentiating. Claims. Make them quick, make them simple. Claims like number one are phenomenal. Obviously, not everybody can claim that, but think of ways to get that message, your key benefits over quickly, simply. Icons are a great way to do that, as we saw in some of the activations. And then flexibility. And I'm going to bring you back to some of the activations we talked about that are permanent. Signage can be swapped out, be relevant, or the displays themselves can be modular and connect with the right mix of product for that particular retailer. So think about that. We have a lot of experience in working with displays across that spectrum, as we can both do temporary and permanent activations at Great Northern Instore. And the final one that I wanted to touch on is the future, is what we've seen in some of the trends, both in some of the pet trends that we've, as we did our research, but it's definitely there in a lot of categories, is that idea of values and sustainability. Customers, what we've seen, are really thinking about this a lot more as we're coming out of the pandemic. It was there pre-pandemic, but obviously people's minds were on other things for the past 18 months. But the idea of sustainably sourced, of sustainable processes, of being good, having good values, good for your community. Think about ways that your brand is able to communicate that effectively in store, because that's going to be the next thing that's going to be a differentiator as we move forward. So with that, I want to thank everybody for your time today, this morning. Really appreciate having you on this webinar. I hope you learned a few things. As I said, you will get an email from me later this afternoon thanking you for attending. If you would like any of the content, please don't hesitate to respond and ask. Also, if there's any feedback, don't hesitate to provide it so we can continue to get better. And finally, if any of these sparked an idea in your head or kind of connects with a challenge that you're having, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me either by email, or my phone will be on that email as well. Very happy to sit down and ideate or brainstorm with you a bit of how to tackle that particular challenge you're facing. Again, thank you very much. We'll be having another webinar in about a month on the health and beauty categories. Always fun categories to see, with a lot of cutting edge trends. So even though that may not be your category that you focus on, it may again provide some great ideas of, maybe I could take that tidbit and apply it to my pet activation and be differentiated from the competition. So thank you very much. Look forward to hearing from you soon.